cannot visit the country of Belize without exploring one of the great natural wonders of the world, the Great Blue Hole. 96 kilometers from the coast, there exists a spectacular deep blue hole that is a quarter-mile wide in diameter and nearly 500 feet deep. When viewed from the air, it looks like a perfectly shaped eye staring back at you. For centuries, the Blue Hole has captivated the imaginations of explorers and sailors as they spread tales of a bottomless pit filled with sea monsters. This aquatic sinkhole began receiving international attention in the early 1970s, when famed oceanographer and explorer Jacques Cousteau brought his research vessel Calypso to Belize to explore the Blue Hole's mysterious depths. Cousteau theorized that the Great Blue Hole was once part of a large subterranean cave system. He was determined to explore the areas underneath the ledges where divers had reported seeing what they described as stalactites. To the renowned French explorer, this meant a geological event had either caused the cave to sink or the ocean to rise. Nearly 4 decades after Cousteau's initial investigations, the Great Blue Hole is now a Belize National Monument, a World Heritage Site, and one of the most prized diving experiences on the planet.
History on the Blue Hole, first it was discovered by the local fishermen. They used to come in this area here in this atoll, which is Lighthouse Reef, and they used to fish in this area here. And they discovered that in all this turquoise water, there's this deep blue area. Then in the early 70s, Jacques Cousteau came and he explored it. He came here with his boat called the Calypso in 1970. He came, he explored the Blue Hole, he went down with all those top-notch gadgets at that time, and he went into the Blue Hole with his sub, and he discovered that the Blue Hole has a depth of about 480 feet approximately, right at the center of the Blue Hole. And history of it is also that it used to be an underground cave about 300 feet above sea level. They say that shifting of the plates allowed the roof of this cave to cave in, leaving what's now this hole. So thousands and thousands of years ago, this whole area here was dry land, but now it's all covered with water. Because it used to be a cave system and now it's all covered with water, we know that whenever we have a cave system and fresh water leaking from the ceilings of it, it forms what we call stalactites and stalagmites, right? Here in the Blue Hole, divers come to experience some of the hugest and the biggest stalactites that you will find in the world when it comes to scuba diving. These stalactites, history says that it takes approximately about 100 years for 1 inch to grow. These ones here are about 40 to 60 feet in length. Wow. And about 6 to 8 feet in diameter, so they're very prehistoric. The stalactites on the north side, you will find the stalactites that come from the roof. Here on the south side, where pretty much everybody chooses to dive for the reason that you can see both the stalactites and the stalagmites. And this side here is also very neat because of the sharks and stuff that hang out in this deep hole. You will notice that under the boat it's very shallow. Right at the rim of the Blue Hole that you're seeing, it starts in about 15 feet and then there's a sandy slope that goes down to about 55 feet. After 55 feet, we then have a sheer limestone wall that goes down to about 90 feet. After 90 feet, we then start heading under the remainder of the roof, cruising among the huge stalactite and stalagmite formations, okay? Now, when we're cruising through these stalagmite and stalagmite formation, you will notice that they're so huge, they're very prehistoric, so you'll be like in an ancient time. But here it's gonna feel like maybe you're gliding in space, just floating in the abyss all below you, wow, which gives you an awesome feeling.
And at what depth do we begin to encounter?
Once we get under the roof, you'll see that it starts in about 90 feet where the roof is hanging, and these stalagmites, they hang down all the way down to like about 140 feet. So it's gonna be very important for you to monitor your depth gauge, make sure you do not exceed your planned depth. It's gonna be easy for you to do that. Easy, man. You'll get so blown away, so carried away once you start seeing these stalactite and stalagmite formations that if you're not looking at your gauge, you can go a little deeper, all right?
Just take your time, relax, have fun, go on through, and I'll just follow along, and hopefully we'll catch some sharks on the way up.
The Blue Hole dive has been a dream of mine, and at this very moment, I am living that dream. 25 feet below, the rim of the crater is clearly visible. I stop here for a moment to observe the reef and bull sharks that have come up to have a look. As I begin to descend over the rim of the crater, the turquoise water and sandy bottom suddenly disappear into the darkest blue I've ever seen. Approaching the ledge, it takes some time for my eyes to adjust to the deep, dark blue. And as I direct my sightline into the blue hole, I begin to draw focus on the large silhouette stirring in the distance. By my count, there appears to be 15 to 20 large sharks circling the waters below. I am sure there are more. I find magic in exploring the unknown, and plunging into an endless darkness teeming with shark definitely qualifies. As we continue to descend, now passing 100 feet, the atmosphere is eerie. The sharks continue to investigate as we delve deeper into the darkness. At 130 feet below the surface, the colossal stalactites of the Great Blue Hole materialize before my eyes. The massive prehistoric formations emerge from the deep as a majestic wonder begging to be explored. While observing the magnificent stalactites from the inside of my dive mask, I noticed they are tilted at a consistent 12 to 15 degree angle, indicating a shift in the ground sometime after the stalactites were formed along the ceiling of the original cave structure. Scientists believe that seismic activity precipitated the collapse of the cave. The same forces able to lift the Mayan mountain skyward are also powerful enough to push the coastal lowlands down beneath the waves. Stalactite samples indicate this cave system was formed during the last ice age. At that time, these caves were filled with air. When the ice melted, the sea rose and flooded the caves. Over the past decades, there has been intensive scientific exploration and research devoted to how this geological anomaly came to be. It has also provided marine biologists the opportunity to study a unique environment and determine what impact such a formation has had on sea creatures. Scientists today are exploring core samples gathered from the very bottom of the Blue Hole. The silt that has accumulated in the deep recesses of the hole is providing valuable clues as to what our world was like in the distant past. Because the Blue Hole acts like a large trap, the heavier elements carried by the deep ocean currents collect here. Readings as high as 12 parts per million of mercury have been recorded from bottom samples. Few species on Earth can tolerate contact with such toxic levels, and scientists are using this information to help protect the oceans of the world from further contamination by mankind. What an amazing experience. As I ascend towards the surface for my decompression stop, I am filled with adrenaline and a deep sense of awe. The experience of descending down into the deep blue abyss and gliding through the natural cathedrals is one I am sure to revisit in my dreams. During my decom stop at 30 feet, some of the more curious sharks approach from out of the blue. It's always a thrill to observe these perfectly engineered animals in their natural environment. They move with such incredible grace, power, and speed, and this twilight zone setting only enhances their graceful motion.